All right, you're welcome back to our discussion segment right here. Good morning, Anambra. And well, the topic we have for discussion today is regulating drug distribution in Anambra State. And I'm also with my colleague here, Ugonna.
It's been a topic we've been talking about for a while now,
yes.
Regulating the distribution, because a lot of people don't really know who is responsible
for that,
for distribution of drugs, especially in this state or in Nigeria.
All right, we've been joined by pharmacist Obi Uchebo, Sawmill for P manager. Sawmill is a Saving 1 Million Lives program for results, the manager in Anambra State. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. Good to have you around.
Good to have you. I would say you're looking good this morning.
Really? Thank you.
What's the secret?
Nothing.
You're just being you.
Grace of God.
All right.
Grace of God. All right, talking about regulating drug distribution in Anambra State. Now, the issue of fake drugs and regulating drug distribution is assuming a new dimension as to who is responsible or not in averting the situation. Now, the question is NAFDAC, is it NAFDAC, the Federal Ministry of Health, Pharmacist Council of Nigeria, or who? Who is responsible? Maybe you just highlight the duties of these various bodies.
Okay.
And tell us how the distribution chain system is like in Anambra State.
Beautiful.
Okay, actually, the Pharmacist Council of Nigeria regulates drug distribution and the registration of premises, whereas NAFDAC is in charge of the drug product itself.
Okay.
Yes, and there's another branch we call Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. That's the umbrella for all pharmacists in the country. Okay. Now, the federal government, in its wisdom, had a guideline we call National Drug Distribution Guideline to guide the distribution of drug in the country.
Okay.
In as much as it has not really been fully implemented for some obvious reasons, but at least if it's well done, I think the issue of fake drugs, the issue of hawking and all whatnot will stop in the country. And it's done in such a way that the drug, it comes directly from the manufacturers or importers to state drug distribution center, whereby the state could have either its central medical store as drug revolving fund, where every drug in the state comes into that store before it gets distributed to other places. And then from state drug distribution centers, we have the mega drug distribution centers. Individuals, private owned, people can come together and own it, and it's like, we call it mega drug distribution centers.
Okay.
Now, down the line, you have the normal wholesale people who can only sell wholesale to retailers. Then you have the retailers, that's pharmaceutical premises. Then we also have national drug, because what we're looking at is where are the places that drugs are given to people or sold or whatever. Okay. That's what PCN regulates. They need to know whatever drug is being sold must be licensed by PCN. Okay. Now, another place is national program. We have TB, they use drugs, they distribute drugs. You have HIV and others. Then you have the secondary facilities, tertiary facilities. Then down the lane, you have the PHCs, primary healthcare centers, drugs are being given there. And then you also have the PPMVs, patent and proprietary medicine vendors. Apart from these major channels, there is no other place by law that drugs should be sold.
By law?
By law.
Okay.
But then we found out along the line that there are major stakeholders that were left out. That's why this has not been able to be implemented, the open drug market.
Okay.
Can we stop there?
No, continue. Okay. The open drug market, we want to hear about that.
They are major stakeholders. Okay. But we can allow them to continue as open drug market. Okay. So in the PCN, PSN, NAFDAC, in the wisdom, pharmacists, we didn't just wait and we're waiting for this thing to start. We had to make efforts.
Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Please, I need you to move away from your TV set or turn down the volume of your TV set. All right, please, when you call us, as much as possible, move away from your TV set, or better still, turn down the volume of your TV set so we can have a very clear discussion with you this morning. And you were saying something about the open market. Well, I really don't want you to go deep into it because we will be coming back to that. Well, we're still talking about the distribution of drug in Nigeria. Now, the way NAFDAC is paying lots of attention to drugs only, neglecting other feels like the cosmetics, the bottled.
No, it's all inclusive.
Pure water.
It's
but
all
it's
inclusive.
all inclusive, but I feel so much that when you look at it, it's about drugs because of lately, a lot of people, you get to see different companies of pure water, bottled water. And when we talk about this NAFDAC number, yes, we get to see, some of them we get to see, some of them we don't get to see. Are they truly licensed? And now research has shown that over 95 or 97% of this bottled water, pure water, has gotten microbes inside of them. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, it's all about implementation and, I mean, getting those people to book them. But it's not easy in Nigeria, especially this part of the country where you have so many people. I mean, we are business, we are oriented. People do all sorts of things. But I tell you, NAFDAC is really working. They catch them by the day. People that are selling, they persecute them.
All right, when you were giving us the overview of the regulation chain, you said those were the legal means.
Yes.
Through which drug get down to maybe the final consumer. Now, there are some people that are not in this group of people that you just mentioned who still distribute drugs, right? Like people that are not pharmacists.
Okay.
They do it illegally.
Okay.
So what are the risks inherent in when somebody that is not a trained pharmacist distribute drugs to the final consumer?
I mean, they can give you anything. Drug is poison. It's very risky for you to buy drug from any unlicensed premise because they don't. First of all, as pharmacists, we swear an oath. So the people that are not supposed to handle drugs, when they handle drugs, I mean, you can expect anything. They don't have the conscience. They can bottle anything. Some drugs in this country, when you ask them, you find that instead of having 500 milligrams of paracetamol in a tablet, you're having 200 milligrams. These are done by people who are not pharmacists, who don't have the license to do these things. They can just find a way and smuggle them in. And once they are caught, I mean, that becomes a problem. You see NAFDAC every time on TV talking about persecuting people who are importing fake drugs and stuff.
Recently, there was this news making the round that codeine was actually banned, and I know codeine is actually some of the substance.
Because of the drug abuse.
But then again,
I mean, the youth.
It's part of what is being used to probably produce a drug syrup.
Yes, but then cough syrup.
Cough syrup.
Yes, and some other drugs, but for cough syrup, we find out that if the risk outweighs the benefit, what do you do?
Okay.
I mean, it's causing a lot of nuisance, so we want to really see how we can sit back and try to regulate the use. Okay. But for now, let us put a stop to it.
So quickly, just briefly tell us, what are the impediments to the availability of good quality medicine and, of course, effective health delivery in the country? What are the impediments?
Yeah, like I said, drug is poison, and if it's not well distributed and gets to the final consumer, it says it's not safe, it's not efficacious. I mean, there's what we call rational drug use. We must be sure that these things get to the...
This is
like
it is an open market, right?
Yeah, is this open market? This looks like Hawking.
Hawking, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I think this woman is actually seated at the place probably selling these drugs.
Yes, she's hawking them.
Okay.
But I tell you, all these things will come to an end soon because the House has passed a bill on prohibiting hawking and fake announcements and false adverts.
All right, I know that it's the sole responsibility of a pharmacist to give drugs to people. But now we have the one they call chemist shops.
Yes, PPMVs, patent and proprietary vendors.
Okay.
Medicine vendors. So they have the license too, but not all drugs.
Okay, not all drugs.
Over-the-counter drugs, some selected drugs. Not all drugs, of course.
No. But over the time, do you go on raids?
Sure, the PCN constantly. You have the PIC, that is a Pharmaceutical Inspectorate Committee in the state. They go most times, seizing drugs, closing shops.
Okay. Now, looking at this picture, particularly, however, open drug markets do not have conducive atmosphere storage
at all,
and operators of such markets do not take cognizance of the fact that drugs could be dangerous to the health of people taking them. You talk about very soon. What exactly is PCN doing to really curtail this very soon as
soon as possible?
That's the open drug market you're talking about?
Open drug market, because
they came up with an idea, what we call the Coordinated Wholesale Centers. It's been approved by PCN and the state government to have it in Oba. And they're working on it, whereby Like you have in the Bridgehead market, people have stalls. Yes, you still have stalls.
I wanted to talk about that.
But you still have stalls, but each 5 stalls will be manned by a pharmacist working there full time. There will be NAFDAC office in that premise. It has 1 exit and 1 entrance.
This is an example of a pharmacist?
That's a pharmacist.
Pharmacy shop, okay.
Yeah.
Is
This is ideal.
This is ideal?
This is ideal,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, that you can see the pharmacist is there, counseling the patient, telling, because it's not all about taking drugs. I must tell the people,
okay.
It's not all about taking drugs. I could give somebody drug now without counseling and the person takes it wrongly. For instance, if I give you ampiclox and I didn't tell you that you must be taken before food, if you take it after food, not up to half will be absorbed.
Oh, right.
And it will not work.
And
so you must take
that for the first time.
You
You're supposed
see,
to take it before food.
yes, ampiclox must be taken, ampiclox and penicillin, most of the penicillins must be taken 30 minutes before food, so that it will work well. Likewise, the normal anti-malaria drug, artemether lumefantrine, our Coartem and all whatnot, it should be taken with oily meal for it to be well absorbed. So it's not all about giving drug. The counseling, the pharmaceutical care is what is ultimate.
Okay,
you are actually telling us what's going to happen about the PCN policy.
Okay. The coordinated wholesale center.
Yes.
Yeah, so once it's done, every pharmacist will man the place, be in charge. There's no way you can bring in fake drugs because they'll be coming in through only 1 entrance and only 1 exit. NAFDAC will be there, police will be there, PCN will be there, all the regulatory bodies will be there, and things will be done the right way.
Okay,
most times these people that sell drugs, these people that are not trained,
yes,
they are not pharmacists that owns the shops where they sell drugs. Most time, when they get a hint that maybe you guys are coming for it, they go and call the pharmacist immediately to come and stand in for them.
Yeah, this is our profession. For crying out loud, we want to be in control. We want to really be sure that things are done well. Our working governor wants the Anambra to have safe, efficacious, effective, good quality drugs. So, I mean, we are working, we've not rested on our oars to make sure that we get this done. That is his wish. He wants us to have good, and he's been very supportive. He has approved the drug revolving fund. We have the central medical store where we want to, in fact, it will soon start, where we want to start, all drugs that will be in the public facilities will be gotten there before it will now go down to the facilities and test them, be sure of the quality before it goes out. That is the wish of the governor, and we want to uphold that. So we are really working hard to see what we can do. So there's no way pharmacists can be assigned to those premises and the person will not be there. No.
Okay. All right.
There are reports where some set of people go to a pharmacist shop to probably go buy drugs that, like, for example, look at that picture. This is somebody coming to buy drug from a pharmacist. Probably this is business. He knows that he probably, and maybe this guy buying this drug is not qualified or licensed, buys this drug, goes to his shop and sells to people. Now, there's this normal thing about individuals. You see someone who is sick. You know, how are you feeling? I'm feeling dizzy, I'm feeling cold. Okay, I think it's malaria. You know what? Just go buy some anti-malaria drugs. And, this basic knowledge of health, people can go buy drugs and just go sell for people. What is PCN doing? You think this is actually a good one for the state?
Yes, there's, we have, like I said, the PPMVs, patent medicine vendors, patent and proprietary medicine vendors. Because you can't have pharmacies in all the remote rural areas in the state. They're supposed to exist. And they are trained. They have license. And they don't sell all drugs. They sell over-the-counter drugs. They sell, like the anti-malarials, they are trained on how to use them, how to dispense them, because you can't get pharmacies all over the state. And then if you leave it, people will be left to even worse scenarios. So for these patent and proprietary medicine vendors, the ones we call chemists, they still exist, but we monitor them. We train them constantly, we monitor them, and whenever we see any abnormality, anything, we seal up. PCN keeps sealing up.
Talking about...
Yes. We have PCN in the state. Yes.
In the state?
Yes.
Okay. And
they have their zonal...
They're actively
very
working.
Very active.
Talking about fake drugs, there are reports that a whole lot of people go to India where they do those drugs and probably
importation
and probably tell these people what to produce. Now there have been stories about resistance to drug, especially the malaria drugs. People get to buy malaria drugs. They're feeling okay. Maybe the doctor says, "Hey, you're not feeling fine. Symptoms of malaria, you're down." They get to buy drugs that don't work. Your body system is resisting this particular malaria drugs, and maybe some people feel it's fake. What is...
No, these are two different things.
Okay.
Resistance to drug is quite different from fake drug.
Okay.
Our people go to India and manufacture fake drugs. Well, when they come into the country, NAFDAC picks them up.
Okay,
I
it
tell
means
you.
that NAFDAC check all the drugs that are imported from wherever they are imported from.
Those that came in one way or the other, I don't know, but they don't have NAFDAC number. These are the ones that could have issues. Okay. But then, talking about resistance, it's our mindset. It's the people that is causing resistance. Okay. If, like, you came to my pharmacy and I asked you to take, I keep using my Ampiclox because that's the commonest one, and I tell you to take it 5 days. That's the minimum you can take Ampiclox. Okay. Good. You took it, maybe you have boil or you have something, cough, and they give you Ampiclox, and after 3 days you're feeling okay. You just dump the drug. I mean, that's when resistance goes. Okay. So our people don't have the habit of adhering to what maybe the pharmacist counsel them on how to take the drugs. So, but if you don't take drugs the normal duration of time, the normal frequency and stuff, you could have resistance to these antibiotics and anti-malarials. So when it happens, just like our normal chloroquine, in the past, how many, I think Kobo, it was in Kobo, 30 Kobo can treat you malaria because the chloroquine was very cheap. But then people were abusing it. Once they take the first 4 tablets, because it's first start, and they feel okay, they will dump it. And after a while, with the drug, people grew resistant to the drug. And we are left with these expensive ones now. Okay. So we are warning. That's why the federal government in its wisdom said that before you now take anti-malaria, it must be tested. Because most fevers are not caused by malaria. So why drugging people and making people have resistance to those good drugs? So right now, before you get treated for malaria, you must be tested. That's the normal protocol.
All right, now, how do you get information? Talking about information, I mean like that someone is selling drugs that are not supposed to be sold, maybe by him. Do you engage the like something like a whistleblower or to tell you that, look, I went to a patent vendor like this, he's selling this kind of drug that is not supposed to be sold there. So how do you get information before you go on a raid, maybe to arrest the person or to take out the drug from the counter?
Yeah, normally information, because we can't stay one place and know everything. Some of those people, when they react to it, they get them to the hospitals. So through there we can find out. Some report to the ministry, some report to PCN, some even call. And some drugs, they have the scratch. If you scratch and it's fake, you don't take and stuff. There's so many ways to get this information from people. And even when we go on inspection, we find out a lot of issues.
I think a whole lot of people are beginning to manipulate this scratch end, because when we talk about, you know, probably where they import those drugs in India, you get to tell them what you want. You know, somebody could just manufacture some numbers and scratch, and when you get to call me in my house, I said, don't worry, the drug is
no.
Okay, so how does it work?
There are some numbers that are supposed to be used. You know, if you get drug, I think there are about 4 or 5 numbers. Some specific numbers that if you scratch, you can be tested to. I mean, that you can
find out the
yes, there are some. I'm sorry, I didn't come with the numbers. There are some numbers that really not that people approved. Are using. Yes, there's a way that, in fact, that even working on it daily to see that such scenarios don't arise. Yeah.
Now, drug distribution is big business, you know, if you agree with me now. And I know the federal government, you know, are concerned about some particular area in Nigeria where those drugs are being distributed. In the likes of the Dumota drug markets in Lagos. We're talking about Onitsha Overhead Bridge here in Anambra State. We're talking about Ariaria Market at Aba, and of course, Sabongeri Market and Kano. Now, we're talking about the medicine distribution. How difficult has it been, you know, to maintain the quality, safety, and efficacy of this medicine before they get to the end users?
Of course, with this open market, there's no way you can be able to regulate.
Let's take this call before you continue. Hello, good morning. Please, I need you to move away from your TV set so we can have a clear discussion.
Hello, my name is Emmanuel.
Your name is?
Emmanuel, where are you calling from?
My name is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, where are you calling from?
All right, we just lost that call. Now, you were saying something before we...
Yeah, we're talking about
how those drugs...
Yes, I said there's no way you can really regulate this with the open. That's why it said open market.
Open market.
You cannot... It can be brought in through any routes. Anybody can bring in anything. There's no way you can... That's why we're talking about the mega drug distribution centers or coordinated wholesale centers,
where you have an way that you can stop this open market business of drug. As in, let it be the only people distributing drug are the trained pharmacists, the qualified and licensed.
We can get there. You know why I said we will get there? If you just do it abruptly, like we've been trying to do. This is the 3rd time government is giving a deadline for closure of open markets. It's not been very easy. Okay. But then allow us start with this CWC. By the time you're there and you find out you can't do this You can't cut corners to make your millions. Of course, people will gradually, things will easily fade
Really
off.
talking about this open market, you see some people entering all these buses, they're selling drugs.
That
selling-
one is almost coming to a stop because of the bill that has been passed in Anambra State.
Okay.
Our colleagues in the House, they've been able to sponsor a bill that was just recently passed, prohibiting hawking of drugs in buses or anywhere that is not a pharmaceutical premise. And also, even these adverts, I don't want to mention names. You cure diabetes, you cure HIV,
yeah.
you come and I don't want to go far, but all these things will come to a stop. So we are making a
I
headway.
was going to come to traditional medicine.
Yes.
You know, a whole lot of mixture here and there.
Yeah,
And
traditional
I was
medicine,
actually attending a seminar not too long where a gynecologist was talking about, see, stop patronizing those people who sell this thing outside. You see people tell you, agbojadi or pain, you know, all this mix. And they tell you they are drugs. How about drugs? Is PCN also aware of this? Or is there anything they're doing to also
You
control?
have traditional medicine, it's allowed, but it must have number.
Okay.
Yes, it must have number. Even in China, I mean, they work hand in hand with the normal pharmaceutical system. The traditional medicine is allowed. But the point is that those who are not... Yes?
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, I'm calling from.
Well-
I'm calling from. I don't. It's not for that. It's not for.
I think this is a child
All
that's trying
right.
to
I
ring
think
this
she's just
bell.
trying to, play with the mother's phone. Okay, so you said the traditional medicine is allowed? So
Yes,
this
it's
is in
about
China?
only licensed traditional medicine
So how do they go
practitioners.
through this
We have
process?
the governor has inaugurated a committee on that. They go inspecting them, sealing up those who are fake. So with time,
Remember,
that's
talking about the carburetor cleaner. You
You
remember
know,
what I reasoned?
there was someone on social media where it was the same thing I was
Yes.
saying about mixing various kind of things.
The only thing is that we have to be very sure of what we're taking, because traditional medicine has everything in it. It's not like the normal medicine where if I want to get digoxin, I just pick what I want, or if I want to get like penicillin from a root, I just get that penicillin. But traditional medicine has all other
Yes,
things
because-
in it. So we need to be very careful when we take
Careful.
this traditional
And in
medicine. And that's why we...
administration of that, maybe the dosages of what we're going to take should be written on the bottle too.
Exactly. So for those registered ones, you have everything written, and they have number. So let us just be careful and be sure we take those registered medicines from traditional medicine
So
practitioners.
finally, time is really not our friend. What are best ways? What are best practices? How can we promote, the distribution of drugs positively in Anambra State?
And
I really-
Nigeria at large.
Yes,
too.
I really
Nigeria
think
at
that if this national drug distribution guideline, this knowing who is responsible for drug and getting drugs from there, if we really get it well implemented, I mean, the issue of drug challenges, fake drugs, wrong people selling drugs, hawking, all these things will come to an end, because you know that you must get to a pharmacy shop, you must get to a tertiary hospital for you to get that drug, because the pharmacist is there to give you drug and counsel. Only those premises that I just listed at the beginning, those premises that are registered and licensed to dispense drugs, if you get drugs from those places, I tell you, you will not have any problem.
All right, thank you very much. If we get drugs from those places, we won't have any problem. Well, you've heard it from I call her the guru. Of course, she's done
Pharmacist
justice.
Obi Uchebo.
Yes, she's done justice.
Thank you so much for coming to Good Morning Anambra Show today.
You're welcome.
All right, next time we call you, you will oblige us.
No problem.
All right, thank you.
All right, good to have you again. Well, this is the much we can take on this segment. We're talking about effective distribution of drugs in Anambra State.
State.
Well, don't go away. We will be right back for the next segment.